full hero of the original, not the current, because that's Mark and Digo, but the original.
Okay.
Yeah.
What a guest to have on here. What an absolute pleasure. So, Gus, where was you born and raised?
Camden Town. Camden,
right.
Northwest.
Right, okay, cool. And then, so basically, what inspired you to get into music?
I was just always been into music. I would say, like, just even from the early days of being around the house as a 5-year-old, as a whatever, I can remember a lot of what was on the radio from them times, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of those years, I remember what's my favorite songs up to now, my favorite artists, and
right.
But I didn't know I was going to go into music. I just knew that I loved music, and then it transpired when I went to secondary school. Then you start playing the recorder and drums and try to play the double bass and piano and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until I got to college where I really started taking it seriously. Yeah.
Right. Cool. I want to talk about Mr. Kirk's Nightmare. So for me, as 16, 17, hearing that song was for it, even to this day, it was such a game changer for that era.
Yeah.
Can you give us a bit of explaining about it, mate?
Well, I was before 4Hero officially was 4Hero. I was, if we go right back to the beginning, to the beginning is Mark Mack, who's part one of the 4Hero crew, bringing in a drum machine to college while I was at college. We was all doing electronic engineering. He brought a drum machine in, and that was the first time I'd played with a drum machine.
Yeah.
Brought it in during the break. During the break, oh, this is wonderful. He said, take it home with you. And in them days, by the way, I should say, Mark and Ian, another one of the original 4Heroes, they had a sound system, and they used to play at weddings, and they was all into rare grooves, and they introduced me to all the rare groove side of things. Anyway, so he borrowed me the drum machine. I discovered that I was really good at it, and then to talk around my area was because I started letting people hear and stuff I was doing. I got approached by a friend of mine who was a DJ and an MC, and then we made a hip hop group, and then we got picked up by a guy called Ivor Etienne, who ended up running Choice FM, and Ivor Etienne. He became our manager, and I was making hip hop records, hip hop productions, and at the same time, Mark and Ian decided that they wanted to start a radio station, playing like rare grooves and all that kind of stuff. And when we used to get together in my bedroom to make jingles for the radio station, that's how 4Hero got formed. Before it was 4Hero, before we started making tunes and releasing tunes. So before then, we got signed to Tim Westwood's label, which is called Justice Records. Had a release on there. Then I got asked by MC Mello to make a couple of tracks on his album Thoughts Release.
Right.
I produced a couple of tracks there, and was doing good hip hop stuff, touring with them, going Paris and all different kind of things. At the same time, doing the Strong Island, which is the name of our radio station, doing all those kind of jingles and events with Mark and Ian and Digo, because by then that's how we met Digo. When we had a radio station called Strong Island Records, Strong Island Radio, Digo was a DJ on it and basically had the same taste as Mark, rare grooves and all the rest of it, and that's how they really got tight and together. And so that's all out of the way. Now, I'd made a bunch of productions, 30 or 40 musical productions, hip hop productions, and I was getting frustrated with not being able to get them out there. And Mark one day at college said, "You just start a record label and start putting the stuff out." Simple as that. And my hip hop producer name was Reinforced Gus because of the way that I used to attune 808 mixed with the Last Night Change It All bass drum mixed with a Blackbird's bass drum. That was my boom. Anyway, and so they called me Reinforced Gus, and that was that. So we thought, okay, me and Mark, Ian, let's start a record label, call it Reinforced Records, and it was going to be a hip hop label, but it never became one.
What? Oh my lord!
Yeah, because the influence that Mark was bringing, the house, because he was into house, Detroit house, into all. I was never a 4/4 man. That was not me. But Mark, had that. And when we used to make things together, jingles and all the rest of it, his influence, we all melted together, and it made what became like Mr. Kirk's Nightmare kind of thing. Well, that was an EP. If you remember, the first EP had 5 tracks on it, and one of them's called Move with the House Groove, and it had Mark rapping on it, and Digo rapping on it, I believe. No, Mark rapped on these Rising Sun. Mark rapped on the Rising Sun, so there you go, the hip hop influence. Digo rapped on Move with House Groove, and I can't remember the other 2 tracks on Combat Dance, but there was 5 of them, and Mr. Kirk was another one. But Mr. Kirk was kind of them guys used to come around my bedroom. I think Ian came up with a bass line, yeah, like that, and then Mark provided me with all breaks, both Mark and Digo. They said, "Here's my record collection." My break collection was vast because DJ Pogo, a lot of hip hop guys, they gave me their record collections because I was like producing for MC Mello. Some other people, they said, right, we're going to be working on Fort's release. Here's a couple boxes of records, go and sample away. And I had a sample library, like it was like drum loops, horns. It was like piano riffs, guitar riffs. And when I used to make a production, I used to pull out a couple drum loops, guitar riff, and it became quite easily. It was a method not to make records because it was like painting. I need a guitar. Take the guitar. Oh yeah, that guitar riff works. Stick it on there. All right, I need a horn section. Go down, put on a little tray of horns. Yeah, that sits in there, and so records can be made quite easily. And that system was adopted by Mark and Digo, which is where they can sort of, they made a Tom and Joe record in 45 minutes, and another one made it in an hour and 9 minutes. Yeah, and it was as simple as that.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
So that was that system there, and yeah. So when I was making Mr. Kirk, I wanted to do some different stuff, which that was kind of been my ethos. If you listen to the track I made on MC Mello's album, there was a track called Word Spoken, and half of the track is just normal fast drums, and the other half of the track is swing Teddy Riley style, and it blends into it. And I wanted to just do something because no one else had done it, and it was the same when I was making Mr. Kirk. I thought, okay, you know what I want to do? I want to make one drum loop go backwards and forwards throughout the whole track. So I did it with Think. I made Think into 8-bar loop, 4 bars forward, 5 bars backwards, and it was kind of difficult to match them up to fit with the drum loops that was just going forward and not sound crazy. But it took a long time. But hey, I just wanted to do it, and I did it. So there was 5 drum loops running in Mr. Kirk, and they all kind of melded together and did what they did.
Yeah,
what I did. And after a few, like Ian come and made the bass line, Mark doing his suggestions, and after the instrumental was done, because it was an instrumental before it had Mr. Kirk on it.
Right. Oh, okay.
So I was looking through Mark's record collection, and I saw the Mr. Kirk. Well, it wasn't called Mr. Kirk. It was just some kind of anti-drugs 1960s record, and I was going through to do my sample. I was just pulling up my sample library. Didn't know what I was looking for, and then this record started with Mr. Kirk. So it's dead. Immediately I thought, okay, this is going to grab everybody's attention, and they'll make everybody not forget the record. So I was all about, make it different. This was going to make something people will never forget this record. So I put it on without even telling anybody. And when the next came on Saturday or Sunday, I said, I finished this one, which they thought I'd finished already. Played away, and it was Mr. Kirk, and it did what it's supposed to. Mark's like, oh no, that's too controversial. And Ian was like, yeah, people ain't gonna forget it. And Digo's like, do what? You know, Digo's Digo. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, as long as the music's good, yeah, cool. And so Mark got outvoted. So he get to stay on Mr. Kirk, and then there it was. It done exactly what I thought it was going to do. Everyone's going to talk about it and not forget it. And so there you
Mate,
go. Go on.
It's never forgotten because it sticks in everyone's brain, and it's just you know, it's that song in Rough Territory as well. If you haven't got it on vinyl, you need to get out of here, man, because I've got it on vinyl. But the problem, what I was going to say is, I think I heard that on Fantasy FM. I think it was Timmy Magic or one of them guys that were on Fantasy FM. It was one of them lot, and they wouldn't tell you the title of the tune.
Yeah.
So you go around the record shop when I was 17 at the time. Have you got that song? Dun 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 dun. Well, you got any lyrics? Well, no, because I didn't hear the first part of the tune. So that tune is iconic.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I will say about that tune. It is an iconic. But before I carry on first, I was on the phone to Mr. Blackmark, and he said, how you doing? Because obviously he was with you guys when you're on Reinforced.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Nicky, you're on about.
Yeah, Nicky. I was on the phone to him earlier.
Yeah.
So moving on from Mr. Kirk's in Rough Territory was like, I think sort of paved the way for a lot of stuff. Reinforced, I've got quite a bit of that stuff here. When I looked at the discography of that, I think that went on to something like 2 pages.
Yeah, yeah.
The amount of people, like, I'm like, wow. I was going to get onto the subject. So you sort of had Goldie working with you guys, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. That was Rivet 1220 was his first release. So we bucked up onto him about mid 91 or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah. We met him in Astoria. He was just in the crowd attending the show. We was doing a 4 Hero show at Astoria, and he just come back from New York, I believe, because he was doing a documentary, and he was getting into all this rave music back then, and just approached us after the gig while we were just out on the dance floor. Said, "I'll do artwork. I want to do artwork for you guys." And things went from there. Yeah.
Wow, man. Because not last week, the week before, I had Nebula 2 on, and obviously he was part of you guys with Seance and Athema and stuff like that as well, man. So you know, did you think that Reinforced would be that iconic, that it would be that massive?
No, of course, nobody ever does. What happened was that we never got paid for Mr. Kirk. It's an infamous story, because we put it out. The first was a 5-track EP, which we were selling out the back of my mum's car, and we sold them. It was unbelievable. Like, we pressed 2,000, and we sold them on a weekend. It's like one shot. I'll take 300. Dancehall record take 300. Zoom in Camden took 300, and it was like that. Black Market took 200, and the weekend was done. And we was like, this is a good business, because we had 2,000 records. It's all gone, and we was like, okay, this is great. And then it started doing what it was doing. This is I believe it was I think they may have been white labels. I don't think they had the Reinforced Rivet. Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. Rivet 01 did white labels first, then we did Rivet 01. Yeah, okay, they did. And then we got a call from a distributor called Pacific Distribution. They said we distribute Sharp and Dance, and we want to distribute you guys. Stop selling it at the back of your car, and let's do it properly as a 12-inch. Yeah. So we said, all right, no problem. We didn't do no more. So there was only 2,000 Combat Dance, I believe, maybe 3,000.
Wow.
And then that's the EP, and then the 12-inch went with Pacific, and that sold 30,000 or something like that. And then they never paid because they went bust.
Oh no.
Yeah. So then they owed us 20 grand or something. They owed Chap and Dance about 50 grand, so we were lucky. Yeah. And then so what had happened there, we couldn't pay the people that we pressed the records with, the factories that was waiting for us to pay them. We owed them about, I don't know, I think we owed them about like 15 grand or something. And so then what had happened is they said to us, you can have an extra £5,000 credit and go make some more records and see if you can pay us back. And then that's when we said, okay, we've got to make Combat Dance, we've got to make an album, and we've got to make a bunch of 12s just to pay back these people. And so they was coming around my house every weekend, and we was just outputting, making loads and loads of different tunes just in order to pay them back. And that's why we came up with Tech 9, and we came up with Our Solution, and we came up with Manix. We came up with a whole bunch of different names, but they were us. But we were just doing.
It was you guys.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's one of the questions I was going to ask you. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Tech 9 was mainly in the end it evolved into being Digo, but right at the beginning it was just all of us making as much as we could so that we could pay back the people.
Right.
We released it under different names, so it looked like there was different artists on the label. And then before you knew it, other artists started approaching the label because they thought we had 5 or 6 artists, and we was flinging out 12 inches left, right, and centre. And so Manix was the one that blew up the most. That was
Feel Real Good and stuff like that.
1209. That was mainly Mark. Yeah, Mark was doing the piano. Yeah. That wasn't Digo. He wasn't really into that. So Mark did the piano stuff, and then that sold. I don't know. And that was like Mr. Kirk, another 30,000, and then that paid everything back. So we could go back to the depression people and say, look, here's your 15 grand we owe you. I did it in a suitcase so I could get the film. I came in there with dark glasses and a suitcase full of fivers. Because I want to make the suitcase fat with money. He's like, a suitcase full of fivers. I was like, here's your dough. And then that's when we started getting hit up by J4M, where Nebula 2 was signed with. So first, Basic Rhythm was part of the J4M crew. And so they became the first out artist. I don't even think the Rivet 1210 got released though. Anyway, Basic Rhythm I'm talking about, there was a track. And I think that was Rivet 1210. Rivet 1211 was Nebula 2. And Rivet 1212 was another Manix. And through that little period there, that was very successful. You know, even the first quarter of I was just mentioning it to Mark the other day because he was talking about magazine clips, and I
see that on Facebook.
Yeah, and we was talking about. I said James Hyman's got all the magazine clips, and I was saying to him there was a Music Week at publication that had the most successful record labels in terms of how much of their singles was in the top 75 for how many weeks during the first quarter of 1992, I think it was, and. We was third. Virgin was first. Zombo was second. Reinforce was third, and then all the other people, you know, like 10 record the people was underneath us, and it was because of those that Feel Real Good, and Nebula 2. Nebula 2 again sold 30,000, and then the next 12, with it 1212 was another Manix, Rainbow People, another 30,000. So in a little period, we might have done 100,000 records, and it was all in the first quarter of 1992, 1991 or whatever, end of 1991. So that's what gave us that position.
I see all those tunes. I've got most of them tunes. I haven't got the whole back discography because there's too many. And I'm going to get onto this point now quickly. I don't want to sidetrack. So I run out of money because obviously I come from Northwest London. I live in Edgware. So I run out of money, and I sold my Enforcers, the picture disc, which I still cry today because I needed the money.
Which one?
1 to 8.
Oh, you sold all of them?
Yes, mate.
Oh.
No, I've got a couple back, like Sinister with the metalheads on the back. I've got 3 back, but to this day, I'm sure I still cry to this day because I shouldn't have got rid of them because they were a next breed of Reinforced where you're just like it was ridiculous. But I want to just zip back to another really good tune that I think was real crazy, and I heard it a lot of times, was Cooking Up Your Brain, Where's the Boy?
Yeah.
What another 2 EPs were like Cooking Up Your Brain, I think was yet another game changer.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember with which Cooking Up Your Brain must be the second. No, it's either Rivet 1206 or Rivet 1208, whichever one that is. Where's the Boy? So, it was a while back, but that was again, that was definitely a collaborative effort when we made that one together.
Yeah. It was a really, I think, like, to be honest, all the stuff on Reinforced, like, is, you know, whether you've got Peugeot, whether you've got Nicky Black Market, all those EPs, I'm going to call them EPs because that's what I know them by. They were all, I don't think I heard one dodgy one. You know, Open Skies, there's too many to say, mate, because I think they're all anthems.
Yeah, well, I suppose it was more of a strict A&R, because I had to pass A&R ears of 4 of us instead of one person. Maybe it became more, it filtered down to get the best ones. You see what I mean? It was only later on, after, I would say, after the big successes I was just mentioning, come to about Rivet 1220 when Goldie came on the scene, then I kind of left. Wasn't so much involved in the A&R, and that was all Mark, Digo, and Ian, and only a couple little projects here and there that I sort of brought in, like Steve Alexander. It was left field. It wasn't like normal. But during, like you said, the early days, and even all the way through, they had to go through so many pairs of ears that we filtered down to get the good stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that's never got, never got released, and probably people want them now, but where are they? On that somewhere in somebody's attic.
Wow. Well, I've got a DAT player if they want to borrow it. So, I'm going to ask this: Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. Was
that a side label from Reinforced?
Yeah, there was many, and that was it wasn't.
That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't the first side label of Reinforced. We had loads, because then, like I said, them guys, the output for those two was immense, and I think Reflective Records was the first side label, and that was techno based. Remember, I said the techno influence came. Tom and Jerry came when there was a lot of when the jungle sound came, and there was a big debate flying all around about some music sounds like it's just been thrown together, and it wasn't very it was not intelligent or whatever. It wasn't, the production didn't seem to be well thought out.
Right.
And that was a debate that was swirling around the whole drum and bass rave, or whatever it was called back in them days, hardcore community. And there was some hardcore that was just, we didn't appreciate. We just thought, any 2-year-old could make that. And there was some kind of discussion, argument, this, that, and the other, and not argument, but challenge. Like, those records are so simple. Yeah, them guys out there, they think that they've got the skills, this, that, and the other. I could make something like that in under a couple of hours, and that was the Tom and Jerry challenge. It's like, okay, let's just do it was like a joke thing. Let's just make one of those tunes that are out there that everyone's going nuts about. Let's just show how easy it is to make. You first, Digo, and me go, Mark. And that was 45 minutes, 1 hour. Here's mine. Let's release it, see what happens. Oh, yeah. And the argument was won. Okay, so them two is like, see, I told you, it's them joke records out there. We can do them in whatever. And there you go. There was Tom and Jerry. I said, oh, that's good. It sold like 3,000 or 4,000. Let's carry on doing a couple of times. Every now and then, they'd knock one out. All Tom and Jerry records are like, Saturday afternoon, here's another Tom and Jerry. Sunday, Digo comes in, here's another Tom and Jerry. Right, release it. But the Reinforced ones were taking days to make, kind of thing, you know. So,
to be honest, I've got quite a bit of Tom and Jerry here, and they're pretty good. They're quite sought after tunes now. I've seen. I'm not saying they got loads of money.
Yeah, I'm not saying they weren't well produced. They were well produced by experts. Yeah, that had the skills to be able to do what they did in 1 hour and 2 hours and 3 hours. But it's just to demonstrate between making internal affairs, which might have taken a whole month to make, or making a Tom and Jerry record, which took one Saturday afternoon. They wanted to show that.
That's insane, mate. Honestly, sorry, I'm not laughing. I'm just laughing because you can't in Mars, you can't knock up tunes in an hour, but obviously you did on 2 hours or whatever, and they were decent tunes.
Yeah.
So, what would be like prior, like hardcore EPs or whatever? What would be like like a tune that sticks in your mind?
What hardcore? Just outside of anything.
Inside of hardcore, not outside.
Yeah, there's a couple of tunes that I really like from back in the day. But were they called hardcore? Let me see now. Oh, there's one. There was one by Basement Records. Sorry, I've just moved from you, haven't I?
No, you're there.
You're getting started is simple. And the best part.
Can you still see me?
Yeah, I can see it.
I've got it on YouTube, so I'm going to go and find it in my music, and then I'll know exactly what record it is. Right, look in library, history, light. Yeah, music. Check music. And there we go. This tune is going to start playing, and maybe people might appreciate what this, if you want to call this hardcore. But this tune is, yeah, I remember this. I love it. Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, this, you consider this hardcore, definitely. Trying to get to it because
reaching from the moon. Gonna be dancing soon.
I know that song. I know that song. I remember that tune, but I can't think of the name of it.
Oh, it's called Flying Techno Mix by Basement
Right.
And here's the techno part of it. Yeah. Hardcore part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's that. Now let me see if I can find the page where we was on. It must be on my.
So I didn't realise you guys were in Dollis Hill because I used to go to college in Willesden as mechanics when I was doing YTS back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Around the corner from us.
Well, yeah, because my mate Lee John from Imagination, he lives just around the corner from Dollis Hill.
Oh, okay. That's where right. Lee John was about from that area. So okay. Cool.
Well, he sort of lived near me in Edgware, so he now lives up there near Oxgate Lane. A couple of roads from there.
I know exactly where that is. Yeah. So yeah, that was, you asked me a hardcore one. There's I'm sure there's plenty of them, but
yeah, to
find them and remember their names, I can only because I actually saved it in YouTube. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known.
So, like, what's the biggest live PA you ever done?
Live PA.
Yeah, have you ever done one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where's the biggest place you've ever performed?
Well, not me, because the biggest crowds that is all going to be these was when we got taken to Japan by Sony Records for when Japan was handed back, or when Hong Kong was handed back to China or something or the other. They did some big celebration it was Hong Kong. It wasn't Japan. It was and it was in the airport. And
Right.
the airport was like, you know how big airports are. It was like how many, 20,000 people or something like that. But
wow.
I wasn't live on stage then. That was a whole bunch of reinforced artists. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But me personally, maybe one of these festivals. Yeah, maybe one of these festivals.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, reinforced. Like, I just want to touch back on reinforced. It's you know, for having. So I take it like I've been watching a few interviews with Goldie, and like he mentioned reinforced, and you said that he'd done the artwork.
Yeah, and then go on.
No, go on.
I was going to say, well, after he did the artwork for us, he started bringing that music samples to the studio because he was working with a guy, Mark, another Mark, a different Mark Starkers we used to call him, and then he came with a couple of dats, and it wasn't until he came with Chris Biscuit, which is Rivet 1220. Said, yeah. That one's good enough. We'll have that. And then after we released Chris Biscuit, there's a kind of story there that the labeling or the sleeve of Chris Biscuit, there was a mistake on it, on the spelling of the way it was spelled, roughly it was spelled, and that was all because in them days we didn't when we was rushing the tune out, we never got the artwork done. We just sent the text to the place where they manufactured the sleeves, said have a red sleeve with black writing on it, and this is the titles. And they messed up the titles, and Goldie was fuming, obviously, because he was artistic. He was an artistic person. He likes to be correct, and so then he got much more involved in doing all the artwork for Reinforced, and then A&R as well. So that's how it all kicked off. So by Rivet 1224, which is Dark Rider, and my favorite Reinforced tune ever, which is Menace. After that 12, yeah, that's my favorite of all. And then after that, he was doing the A&R and bringing in people and really involved. He would come to the office all the time. Them guys would go to the studio. Me and him would go to the office and do kind of, he'd be phoning up artists and all this kind of stuff, and then go and do white coat sessions with them on the weekends.
Right.
Yeah. You know what white coat sessions are? I'll explain
no.
White coat sessions were like their experimentation. They would spend the weekend just devising sounds and trying to get combinations of filters and stuff out of the studio equipment that nobody's done, and they just have a DAT full of white coat sessions. And then we would sort of, when we might find an artist that we want to release on the label, so we contact them and so forth and so on. We might send them a copy of the DAT and say, here's some sounds. And maybe that's why there was a reinforced sound, because we was palming out white coat sessions to people. And the other ones that never, the early ones like Nico D from Black Market, he would come in and it would be engineered by Digo. Yeah, Digo did a lot of outside engineering for external artists that had no, like Codo 71, a London something, all the rest of it.
Good tune, though. Yeah.
Again, all those early times, those artists would come in with their ideas. They're like, I like this sample. Like Codo 71 would come in with, we want to use this sample, a London something Rastasine, and then mess around with stuff. And Digo was kind of part of the production team to gel it all together, even though they might have, it was the same thing that in the early days of Reinforced, when it comes up to the first album in Rough Territory, them guys weren't hands-on. They were just watching me and learning. Yeah. So they would come with the records and say, okay, yeah, certain other. Can we have this sound in, like you said, cooking up your brain, or I go out on Friday night and Saturday morning. Ian would come with that, said, yeah, all the specials, or Mark would come with that. We want it in a tune. And I had to mix the pot together, the mixing decimal, the rest of it. They watched me, and then by the time it came to Rivet 1207, they could do it themselves, and they was off and running. Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing that you've all got your head screwed on and you can all do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
Well,
you know, yeah.
no, you say they become so proficient at it. They was like I said, I I can't make a Tom and Joe record in 45 minutes. They were like, the student becomes the master. That's how it went. So yeah.
So I just want to ask you. So, who was the Roughage crew?
In the early days, that was Linford Jones and Mark Rutherford, who we call Marcus Darkers, and Goldie. The three of them together, and they produced in the Marcus Darkers' studio, and then came with that, and that's how Chris Biscuit and Killer Muffin became.
That's yeah. Again, I can keep on saying that's such a good tune. It's got such a good tune. Like, guys, if there's when all you guys, if you're watching and you don't know about Reinforced, go and look it all up on YouTube, because I'm telling you, there are some really, really big tracks on there. Like even like Nookie, some of the stuff that he turned out. Like no, not some of it, all of it. Like I can't even say an artist like some of it. It's not because you can't, because every tune that like you guys do has just been like Rainbow People. Like I can go on and on. You know, as I say, if you guys haven't heard some of that, and I know most of you guys have, go and look it up on YouTube, because you're going to be surprised.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much. It's like
it's well, you know, if it weren't for the likes of like Shop and Dance, you know, Genocide 2, you know, Suburban Bass, Reinforced, you know, would there be this thing? You know, would it be this movement?
It would have been a different form. That's all.
Yeah,
the scene would have existed, but the way it would have evolved would have just been different. It's just that's just the way it is. Yeah, yeah.
It was. I reckon there's a lot of people, because the reason why I'm doing these interviews is because I don't think a lot of people know about behind the scenes. And like, you know, as you said, like about you guys being Manix and, you know, Tech 9, because I never knew that.
No,
I never knew that at all. You know, the same as like I've interviewed Blame on here and Nebula 2, you know, Alex Banks from Easy Rollers, Hypon Experience. I didn't know half of the stuff you're telling me. I don't know. And it just gives viewers and people that are interested in music to what your backgrounds are, and you know the actual what you've done for the scene. Because I think if it wasn't for you guys, I know it would have taken a different direction, but we wouldn't have had these tunes out there.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have. And you know, there's so many anthems, as I keep saying. You know, would it have been as? Would there be the influx of all these good tunes? Who knows?
You don't know. You don't know. But what I can say is that I once heard like one of these all-time great athletes, or it was something like that. What they were saying was the reason I became so great it was because some of the competition that I had in front of me that made me want to get better than them, and that's what was happening in them days. Yeah, we wanted to be better than Shut Up and Dance. I mean, not Shut Up and Dance. They was even like before us, kind of thing. But our contemporaries were Moving Shadow and Suburban Bass. So if they had a tune out that we thought, oh, that was all right, we'll do something better. And that was the ethos within the studio itself, between the artists. So Scotty would come in with something, we'd go, oh, go and do something better than that. so that's how it was. Yeah.
You know what? See, there's again, there's another name. Everyone forgets about Doc Scott.
Yeah.
What more can I say, man? Like that guy is just a legend as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, I think you must have like created this pot where you had the cream of the crop on that record label.
Yeah, well, that was the intention. It was like, okay, let's
try. We've done it.
And that's what the Enforcers was as well. It's like, let's do a series that's rare, like going to be rare groups. So initially we only did 1,000 of them. The most any Enforcers ever done was 3,000 of one of them. I don't know which one it was, but normally it was 1,000, and that's it. Oh, it ran out. And in doing that, we're going to go around the scene and say, oh, who do we think is doing some really good stuff? Yeah, we'll invite you to be on Enforcers, and that's our. The only person who we didn't get on Enforcers was Dillinger. We got Lemon D. We got Lemon D twice, but not Dillinger. And he's my favorite.
Wow.
he's my favorite producer of all time in this scene. Yeah.
He's pretty vicious. Some of his tunes are, man, because I've got them like here, like the Valve and stuff like that. Is like, I think he's, grimy.
Yeah.
Wow, man, just I don't know. There's a lot of producers out there that they're very dangerous at what they do.
Yeah.
Very, very dangerous. Right, Gus. You know what? I'm going to wrap this up, fella.
Okay.
Thank you ever so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, and so does the station.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, thank you ever so much, man. Hopefully, man, we'll speak to you soon.
Yep, really enjoyable, and thanks for having me.
No problem, Gus. Thank you ever so much.
All right, great.
Cheers, bud.